Guys, welcome back to the Inferion channel. I'm Matt, and today, a little bit of a bone to pick. One of the things that I hate most about modern horror fans is when they complain about the overabundance of elevated horror movies these days. Because every time that some awesome film like Talk to Me comes out, the first thing you hear is BS like, "Oh look, they ripped off Hereditary again." Just because the central theme of the movie deals with grief and loss doesn't mean that everything has to be tied to Hereditary or the fucking Babadook. Personally, I blame Jenna Ortega in the 5th Scream movie for making normie audiences aware of the term elevated horror, because it's now become so overused that it's lost pretty much all meaning. But really what annoys me most is the fact that these sorts of elevated horror movies, which are really just films that have some sort of thematic significance outside of just being scary and or fun, have actually been around for decades? In fact, if I wanted to climb all the way up on my high horse, I could argue that the sheer concept of horror stems from something much deeper and more philosophical. But instead, to save myself from abhorrent pretentiousness, I'm just going to run through some of my favorite examples of elevated horror movies before they were cool. The first genre that everyone and their mother seems to be keen on these days is films that deal with grief. Usually from the loss of a loved one. I mentioned them earlier, but The Babadook and Hereditary would be prime examples of this. But going back only about 10 years or so, you can find movies in this same vein that I'd argue grapple with grief just as well, if not better. Movies like The Descent, or The Orphanage, or Lake Mungo. Or if we wanted to go back even further, I'd point to The Changeling, or Pet Sematary, or Pumpkinhead, or Death Dream, or one of my all-time favorites, the entire Phantasm franchise. Or even one that very clearly inspired several parts of Hereditary, Don't Look Now. There are so many more kinds of elevated themes in horror movies than just ones that deal with grief. For example, for every film about traumatic sexual violence like It Follows, you have Repulsion, or The Entity, or The Beast Within, or the incredible Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. If you love horror movies that deal with race like Get Out, then you need to see Candyman, or The People Under the Stairs, or one of the most devastating films of its kind, White Dog. If you appreciated the concept of Don't Worry Darling being toxic domesticity, but are also intelligent enough to realize that that movie fucking sucked, then instead check out The Stepford Wives, or Season of the Witch, or Possession. Well, maybe wait till you're ready to play on expert mode to watch Possession. If you like female coming-of-age horror movies like 2016's Raw, then check out the original Carrie, or Ginger Snaps. We would never have the horror masterclass tale of addiction that is Talk to Me without Frank Henenlotter's Brain Damage. And just about all horror films about being a parent owe a debt to Rosemary's Baby or Eraserhead, but it's also good to acknowledge other lesser-known ones like Triangle, or Session 9, or Witchboard, or the aptly named Who Can Kill a Child? How about horror films about mental illness? You've got unsettling bangers like Maniac, or Christmas Evil, or the absolute mindfuck that is Let's Scare Jessica to Death. And of course, let's not forget the ultimate movie franchise about societal paranoia, any version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, because they're all kind of just products of their specific times. Now, I could go on and on about horror films that deal with religion. Or, good lord, what about eco-horror? But my all-time favorites of the genre would probably be anything by George Romero, or anything by one of my all-time heroes, Larry Cohen. Oh fuck, and don't even get me started on vampire movies, dude. But anyway, yeah, there are so many more. And yes, a lot of these you could argue are stretches when it comes to labeling them elevated, especially in comparison to modern day ones that are more on the nose. But honestly, that's the real problem with modern elevated horror movies. It's that so many of them are either too lazy and make their themes so obvious that they forget to have fun or, you know, be good. Looking at you, smile. Or their writers live so far up their own asses that they forget to make the movie entertaining, just instead condescendingly talk at you through the screen. Kind of like I'm doing right now, I guess. But anyway, I digress. Don't knock a movie just because you think you've seen its themes before. Because you probably have, and more times than you realize. Doesn't mean it's bad. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now. Go watch some of the shit laid out above. This is the Inferion channel, for Pete's sake. But really, it's just because horror rocks, man. In any era. Oh, last one. If anyone can tell me what the hell the movie White of the Eye is about, I will personally Venmo you a whole $1. Because I love that movie. And it makes no sense to me. Anyway, that's it. Inferion channel. Like and subscribe. Peace out.